So the pictures at Media Day, they show my starting five. So I think we could just put that to rest. It's how they started last year, and it looks like how they're going to roll this year too. So just, I know you were kind of coming around over the last couple of weeks on me being right about this and yada yada, but it seems to be a year after year debate here, or it will be now. This will be our second year running. It's gonna be Kyrie, Brown, Tatum, Hayward, and Horford. That's who you're going to see. And then you've got the Smart and Rozier and Morris and Tice and Baines coming off the bench. Occasionally, I do agree a spot start for Baines, but that's your starting five, bro, and definitely on opening night.
No. No. I think that's their best
100%.
I think it's their best lineup, but I think one thing that just, and I don't want to, there's a couple of things I want to talk about, but that group, and it kind of ties into where I was going when you kind of wrapped up in terms of the top 10 and being a top 10 offensive team. I think that team playing a lot could be a top 10 offensive team. What I worry about this, I guess not worry about, but going into this season, my bigger concern is actually on the defensive end. I think offensively they're going to fit fine. I think defensively is where I wonder, will they bring the same energy? Will they feel anointed? A couple of years, when the first year that Al Horford came in, there was a lot of expectations. Previous year, the Celtics were a top 5 defensive team, and the feeling was, well, if we had Al Horford and we've got this new rookie Jaylen Brown, who's supposed to be a defensive stopper, we're clearly going to be number 1 defense in the league. And that went nowhere fast because I'm coming out of the gates. They were horrendous. They were a sieve defensively. It was only because Isaiah went supernova did that team really kind of find its stride and go to another place. So, a lot of the talk that Brad has had about we got to put the work in, we've got to, make that part of our mission. We've got to be part of, we've got to work every day. To me, that's an immediate kind of callback in my mind to a couple of years back when, there was this anointing of what this team was going to be. And then they came out and didn't earn it in any respect. Jay Crowder was a step slower. Avery, as a team defender, wasn't getting it done. And so you had all of these issues. That offensive lineup, that 5, we'll call it the Shamrock 5 or the Roddick City Council, whatever you want to call that 5 group.
The
Celtics Twitter.
I love Celtics
Twitter. When you have those 5 on the court, there's no doubt. I mean, that's just potentially in 2K, that's the lineup you play with. But how does Al Horford feel about being the full-time center? Can you play that same defensive style that you want to play and you want to switch? Sure. But rebounding wise, you're going to be able to keep pace. So there's a lot of questions about that. And it's particularly when you play the bangers, when you play the guys like Embiid, you play the Drummonds, you play those players, those big players who are going to sit in the post and you got to bang with. You can't afford to lose Al Horford. Al Horford is probably your most indispensable player on this team. I think whether he's the MVP or not, I don't know, but he's definitely the most irreplaceable of all of those guys. And if anything happens to him, they've got to be concerned. They need him fresh. They need him strong.
Are you concerned about the concussions again? Is that why you're worried about him facing a bigger matchup in the post? Or are you just worried he's going to get beat, on defense down there just due to the size mismatch?
I think it's the size mismatch. I think it's a 82-game slog where there's a lot being put on his shoulders to move the ball, set good screens, play amazing defense, anchor the defense, be the quarterback in a lot of cases for this team. And he's also got to go down there and throw bodies around with, 265, 285-pound giants. That's a lot to ask for, and I think the Celtics, the strength of the Celtics last year was that they allowed him to be able to, because he didn't play as much, because they were able to keep his minutes low, he was amazing in the playoffs. If they use up some of that reserve so he can be the 5 against, starting lineups, that just seems to me it would be nice, but it's kind of an extra. Whereas I'd rather, if he's starting the playoffs in that position, I feel a lot differently than I do opening night, let's say.
See, I can see an early substitution, whether it's unlikely that he comes out, but I can see, somebody probably Tatum or Hayward's going to come out first, and then a Baines would rotate in. I hear what you're saying 100%, but at the end of the day, I think, like I said last week, it's really important that they get off to a really good scoring clip to start the game. I think if they can run that up, they've got more leeway with the bench, and it ultimately achieves what you're talking about, which is Al Horford gets less minutes and is rested for the postseason. He'll get nights off too. I have no doubt about that with the talent on this team. There's going to be times where these guys in the starting lineup, there's no reason not to give Kyrie a night off here and there. If he's got any kind of pain or issues, I mean, you've got Terry, you've got Marcus. There's no reason this team, if everybody else is healthy, can't give guys nights off. I just think if all 5 players are going to be on the court, then those 5 are going to be together in the starting lineup with a goal of running up a score like 22 to 10 or 12 as quickly as possible and getting into the bench. And so the logical first substitution to me is putting in Baines when you have a bigger team like you just described, and substituting out probably Hayward. He would be my first hook because that's who I want because of all the playmaking you described last week. I want that guy anchoring that second unit when you start subbing out Al and you start subbing out Kyrie. It's actually Hayward that I want out there kind of dictating things with that second unit and pulling it together.